life is an arcade. I wanna play every single game. These bright lights are making my heart race. Let's go.
Yo, welcome back. Authentic Vibes Only Podcast, episode 14 of season 2. And as always, thank you to my sponsors, JW's Third Base, Rock Falls, Illinois, Candlelight Inn, Rock Falls, and Clinton. One Take Photography, Juicy Visuals for doing my intro. And as always, the podcast is brought to you by the Authentic Vibes Only brand, where we teach you how to become your authentic self and be a better you for you. And a journey of self-improvement, a never-ending journey. And today is going to be a little bit different. As you know, well, maybe you don't know, but sometimes it's hard for me to post podcasts because I don't know what to speak on. You know what I mean? When it comes to what the brand is built on, Authentic Vibes Only, becoming your true authentic self, it's all about like a self-improvement journey, right? A goal to be the best version of you, be you for you, and do the things you like, do the things you enjoy, and don't let people tell you otherwise. Become the one you dream you can be, and don't let other people's opinions hinder that, and to just enjoy who you are, embrace who you are, and be the most authentic and raw version of yourself. And when it comes to that, I've spoke on a lot of how to do that, how to become your authentic self. And I've had a mini series on a way to become your authentic self. Talked about many things in the self-improvement area, as in like mental health, manifestation, meditation, going to the gym, eating healthier, working out, a healthier lifestyle, journaling, taking care of your mental, taking care of your physical, all those types of things. And sometimes it's hard to figure out when I niche down like that, to also realize like I don't have to be that niche. It's a good thing to niche down because then you have a specific market you're marketing to. But I can also talk about things that I believe in and like theories and views of life and things like that, because like that's what the brand's built on, is being your authentic self. And those things are authentic to me, and that's my authentic self. And you guys don't have to believe in the same things or any of that, and I'm not telling you to believe in those things. Some things I'll tell you to believe in, like the universe and a higher power, and life happening the way it should happen for you, stuff like that. But I don't really talk on like religious views, but I kind of will today, because it's like something that like interests me and something I can believe is true, but like it's not something I fully believe in. But yeah, I want to kind of expand this out into like showing more of who I am and the things I believe in. Like last week, I talked about the burnt toast theory and the red string theory. And those are two theories that I've heavily read into and believe to be true. And today I'm going to talk about, I said, 2 episodes ago that I would talk about, like I made an episode 12, and then said I would talk about Stoicism, and I never talked about that. And I made the episode from last time, and now I'm going to speak on Stoicism because I feel like that philosophy kind of feeds into the brand, and I feel like I live like a stoic life in a way. So we're gonna branch out a little bit. I'm gonna talk about Stoicism, Buddhism, parallel universes, and like manifestation, and like what I believe happens when you die. So let's get into it. So first we'll start with Stoicism. And one way to really describe Stoicism is that being stoic, you don't believe that you control the world around you, which you don't. What's going to happen to you and for you is going to happen. And you should wrap your mindset around that everything that happens to me is happening for me, not to me. and you got to control what you can control, and you can only control what happens for you with how you respond. That's the only way you can be in control of it. You don't control what happens around you, but you can control how you respond. And with Stoicism, they say that you always respond with courage, temperance, wisdom, and justice. And when you tend to become, this is like a good philosophy, like I said, but when you tend to become stoic, you're more or less like, the only thing I don't agree with like Stoicism, right, is like they kind of say not to like feel. Like the philosophy doesn't exactly say to like not feel, but it says to not feel. Like hold your emotions in and just keep going on about your day. And like I don't believe in that. That's the part of it I don't agree with, is that if you're feeling an emotion, I feel like you should allow that to feel. Good, bad, ugly, happy, sad, mad. Don't take it out on other people, right? But like allow yourself to feel those emotions and realize why you're feeling those emotions. Don't push them down. And I think that Stoicism misses on that philosophy. I think that's where they miss at. Is that they kind of tell you not to feel your emotions. But I do agree with that. You should always respond with courage and overcome things, and respond with wisdom. So like don't respond. That's what I do like about that, is like it says not to feel your emotions, but like I think it could be twisted, like turned into like when it says respond with wisdom, right? I think you should respond like whatever emotion something makes you feel, don't respond out of that emotion. Like feel the emotion and give it time to sit and think until you're out of the emotional state, and respond with like wisdom and logic. And I think you're going to be in a better position, especially like there's this saying that says like you can't see your reflection in boiling water, so why would you respond when you're angry? Because like when you're angry, you're not responding with like your true feelings, you're just responding out of madness. You know what I'm saying? And that's like an analogy with like boiling water. Boiling water is hot, you can't see your reflection. Hot, angry would be the water, and that'd be you. And they say not to respond out of that, and I agree with that. And one thing with the Stoicism is like it believes in like the divine universe, which I speak on a lot. And the divine universe, it is that everything happens for you and it's out of your control. So like I think that's the main thing I want to get on with Stoicism, is like it kind of says it's not exactly either saying like to avoid emotions, but it's more of a way to live a life of self-control and overcoming destructive emotions. So like don't let your emotions get the best of you, and to respond and with wisdom, courage, and it's set to improve your ethical and ethical and moral well-being. So it's just kind of like a way to not live in an emotional state. And like I said, there's a mix and there's a compromise to be had with Stoicism and emotions. Because like I said, feel your emotions and let that feeling pass. Figure out why you're feeling that way. And whatever made you feel that way, feel it and understand it and be okay with that. But that's where Stoicism comes in and says, don't respond with an emotional state. And I do like that, because like when you respond in an emotional state, it's not logical. It's not coming from wisdom. Most of the time it could be, if you respond emotionally, could be coming out as courageous, but also like you got to be careful with that. So that's where I want to go with Stoicism. It's a good way of life to live. We could read more into it. I could talk more about it, but that's just like the base of it, right? And there's a lot of philosophies that make sense. I want to get more into talking about philosophy. I like philosophy a lot. I talk a lot about some of the psychology aspect of like how the human brain works and stuff. So I think that's where I lead to next, honestly, with this podcast, is talking more on philosophies I've learned and how that can play into the brand, and how like your brain works more, and the psychological state of mind and things that you can do mentally, and how the brain works, and how you can work your way around that and train your brain into being a better you and stuff like that. So those are some of my next steps and goals. So we'll be talking about more of that stuff. But I don't want to focus super on philosophy today. So that's the little bit of stoicism I'm going to talk about. And we're going to move into next kind of my religious beliefs, I guess. I mean, like, I'm not religious, right? I'm not religious. I was baptized as a kid, but I'm not religious. Everyone says, well, how can you say that when you wear a cross necklace, right? Well, my best friend passed away, My best friend died when I was a senior in high school. And that's his name's engraved into this. The dates he was born and passed away are on this. And I haven't taken it off since he passed away, right? I haven't taken it off since 2016. So almost a little over 8 years. And I do believe in a higher power, right? And I do like to say that that's God, because I don't know what else it would be. But also, like I say, it's the universe, a higher power. I don't know if it's God, but I will call it God from time to time, and here and there. And in other episodes, I've called it God. But I just believe I'm more of a spiritual person. So I don't believe in the religious side as much. I'm more into spirituality, your soul, life, energy, vibrations, how the universe works, and higher power like that. And that's kind of where like this religion kind of makes sense to me, and that would be Buddhism, right? In Buddhism, they believe that the human life is one of suffering, and that meditation, spiritual and physical labor, and good behavior are the ways to achieve enlightenment, or quote unquote their bliss, which would be nirvana, which would be how you escape the cycle. And this is where I go on, like, what do I believe happens when you die? I have 2 theories on this, maybe 3. I don't know. I can't pick one, but these are like the 3 I lean towards, right? So basically, like in Buddhism, and they all kind of tie in together, like all 3 things I believe, right? They all kind of tie together. And Buddhists believe that human life is a cycle of suffering and rebirth, that if one achieves a state of enlightenment, nirvana, it's possible to escape this cycle forever. And with that, they believe in like different realms, right? They don't technically believe in a heaven or hell. They don't believe in a deity or a god either, but they believe in supernatural figures who can help or hinder people on the path towards enlightenment. So not exactly, that's like what I believe in, right? Like a higher power. And when you look into the crazy thing about religions, and even though this says like they don't believe in a deity or God, they believe in a higher power. That's if you're religious or whatever, right? Or whatever religion you follow or believe in. There's something that all religions have in common. And that's that they believe in a higher power. Whether they call it a higher power, like a spiritual way, whether they call it God, a deity, whatever it may be, Allah, they believe in some sort of higher power. So there's a lot of arguments on the internet, right, about what you should believe in, what you should do this, what your religious beliefs are, blah, blah, blah. You know, all that good shit, all that bullshit, in my opinion. But in my opinion, if you don't want to be religious or whatever, right, because I'm not, the one thing I will say I believe in is a higher power. And I think that with every belief there is, they all believe in that. They all just have a different name for it. You know, it literally, that's the one thing they all have in common. So instead of arguing with people, you know, about their beliefs, I would just say, like, let them believe what they believe, and just understand that even with everyone's different beliefs, they all believe in some sort of higher power, God, deity, Allah, you know what I mean? So be more accepting of that and understand that they do have something in common, and that's the one thing they have in common. And but basically with like Buddhism, right, they don't really believe in heaven and hell, which there's my disconnect there. I do believe in a heaven and hell, but they do believe in different realms, right? And then they believe in like escaping the cycle and being in enlightenment and finding nirvana. And that's kind of where like my views mix, but also don't mix. So I kind of believe that, and I believe in rebirth. And I believe that when you die, that with like them, it's like a video game, right? So there's like different levels to this shit. And based on karma in your life, good or bad choices, that's like what level you're going to go to, or like what realm you will go to. And basically what karma, I mean, is like what life lessons. So like I believe that like when you die and your soul ascends, you're in like a meeting. You get like a meeting with the higher power, God, or a higher power. And that's like the highest soul there is, but there's multiple of them, but there's still like one, but you can become one, you know? And I believe that like with these realms, I don't know how many I believe in, but I believe in that there's different levels to it. And then there's a heaven and a hell. And I believe that, so when you die, you have your meeting with the higher power, and they like put you in front of like a screen, or maybe not a screen, but they pull up something where you can see the life you lived on heaven or on earth. And I also believe that like before you're born again, you get to like pick everything you go through, and you get to like pick the journey you're on. And that's why I believe in like divine timing in the universe and all that kind of shit, because you pick that like, let's kind of back up. We pick that life before we're born with the higher power when you're first coming, right? You get to pick your journey, the obstacles you go through. Sometimes it's in like that path's laid out for you, but life and the decisions you make will alter that path for you. So then like when you die and you have this meeting with the higher power, they show you the life that you chose to live, and the life that you were supposed to live and could have lived and promised you were going to live before you decided to be born, right? And I feel like when you're rebirthed, you go up and have that meeting, and they show like the higher power shows you that this is what you could have been, but by making these choices, you were not this, and these are the lessons you learned. These are the lessons you didn't learn and you were supposed to learn. And when you don't learn those lessons, you get rebirthed back to this, right? Back to Earth. But then when you learn the lessons on Earth and you die and you hit, go to that meeting again. Like if you learn the lessons you were supposed to learn here, you move to the next level. And then like as that cycle continues, and you will keep rebirthing, but like on a different planet, level, whatever, then you will find your bliss, your peace, your nirvana, as the Buddhists would say, and that cycle stops, and you become one of those gods or higher powers, and then you're in heaven forever. That is my view. is that once you finally have learned all them lessons, you no longer rebirth, and you become a higher power. You become a god. You get to stay in heaven, right? So that's some pretty cool shit that I'd like to think about a lot. No one really, you don't know till you die. You don't know. There's also like a theory on that I believe that, like, they say, like, if there's a God, why is Earth the way it is, right? Why do bad things happen? And what I like to believe on that is that, like, Buddhism, I don't think it's Buddhism because I don't believe in like heaven or hell, but there's another religion. I can't put the name on it right now, but there's a religion and there's a theory that, like, so this is kind of where the realm thing begins with me, is like Earth is actually hell. And we haven't learned our lessons here, and that's why there's bad things that happen on Earth. And bad things will continue to happen here, but certain people escape and go to the next level or next realm. And when they do that, you're escaping hell. But with the higher power, you start in hell, and that's the lowest level. And to get out of hell, you have to learn the lessons that you're supposed to learn in life, and then you move on. Right? And then it just keeps going, however many realms. I think it's like 7 maybe in Buddhism or some shit like that. Like I said, I don't know how many there are. It could just be, this could be hell. There could only be 2 realms, realistically, maybe there's no actual hell, but this is living hell, and it's Earth. And you're going to keep getting reborn until you learn the lessons and live the life you were supposed to live. And when you had that meeting with the higher power, then there's only 2 levels. There's hell and there's heaven. And you won't get rebirthed anymore. And you'll go to heaven as a higher power. And you learned all the lessons you were supposed to learn. So that also like mixes in with that theory, but there's just like only 2 realms instead of multiple levels. You know what I'm saying? And I definitely can believe that too, because I definitely believe in rebirth. I 1000% believe in like rebirth. And I believe that you are rebirthed because you haven't learned the lessons and didn't live the life you were supposed to live in that lifetime. So you come back for another lifetime. And that's why I also believe in like deja vu, and like how they say like you felt this moment before. That's because you felt it in a past life, but like your brain gets wiped before you're rebirthed. Like, even though you pick this life with the higher power in the journey you're supposed to be on, they wash your memory of every life you've lived before you come back down. But that's why there's like deja vu and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But there's another reason I think there's deja vu, and I'll get into that. Also I believe that like birthmarks, that's a theory, that like birthmarks are like a way you died in your past life. They say that's a huge theory, is like where your birthmark's placed and what kind of birthmark it is, and this and that are an example of how you died in a past life. So that's pretty cool. Those are some things I think I like to think about, and it's because I think that death is the greatest question that will never be answered. We'll never know. You don't know till you die. And even if we are rebirthed, we don't get to remember till we die again. You know what I mean? So it's a scary thing. Death's a scary thing, but it's out of our control. So just while you're here, strive to be the best you can every day. But here's the other thing with deja vu, right? So there's a thing I believe about, and this is why I really believe in manifestation, right? There's a theory that there's multiple universes, right? Parallel universes, right? So like, I have a couple examples on this, right? That like in a parallel universe, like little things are different about your life, right? Like it's you in another universe. So like I'm still Braeden, but in like a trillion other universes. And in each one of those other universes is that there's just small differences in your life. And there's like these theories that like, and they talk about like when it comes to manifesting, why like manifestation's real. And this isn't like, I don't think, well, never mind. I think like when it comes to manifesting, they talk about shifting realities a lot, right? Because there are different timelines. There's different timelines, and when you manifest that, you shift to a different timeline where you are in that. So like in this timeline, my clothing brand's not successful yet, right? But in another timeline, my clothing brand, I'm a millionaire. And that's what manifesting is. And they just say that like when you manifest a lot, like you can just shift timelines. Like when you're manifesting, and you can shift to your highest timeline and in a different parallel universe. And there's just like, it's literally basically the same exact life you're living. There's just like teeny differences. So basically I'll give some big ones that they talk, like the theories of parallel universes. And then I'll give some of like personal things that I believe, right? Why I believe this is true. How deja vu also plays into this, right? So basically, like some of the things they talk about for parallel universes, like if you guys have ever heard the Bernstein Bears, right? On that book, they always say there's like an extra E or I in the name or something like that, and there's like proof of it. But then in like our universe now, they're saying that was never a thing. Like it never had that. And then also, like they say, I don't know if you've seen the thing about the Statue of Liberty, but they're saying they're like, when people like my age and a little bit older were growing up, that the Statue of Liberty was on a whole different island than what it's on now. And then we have the Fruit of the Loom, man. How Fruit of the Loom says like that they never had the cornucopia in their logo, but then people have proof of the cornucopia in their logo, right? Like they have pictures in shirts from every year of Fruit of the Loom, and like in the beginning stages they had the cornucopia in their logo, but now they don't, and they said that there never was one, right? So I think that people are shifting realities, and we were in a different reality and we shifted into a different reality, and like people are jumping universes more often than not. Like every day you wake up, you could jump into a different universe where something different has changed. Here's like a prime example, right? This is where I say deja vu too, besides being in a past life. I feel like with deja vu, you feel like you're in deja vu because you jumped universes, right? You shifted realities and jumped into a parallel universe of yourself where like that has already happened, or something very similar happened in that universe on like a different time and a different day. Because like time is like equivalent in these universes. Like you'll jump into a new universe where you're still the same age and all that shit, right? It's everything's the same but little things. But like maybe in the universe you were in last week, something happened, and then you jump to a new universe, you're like, and it happens again in this universe but on a different day and shit. And it's like, damn, I'm feeling deja vu right now. You know what I'm saying? And I believe in that because I feel like you jumped universes and it did already happen, but like just in a different form, in a different way and stuff like that. So that's how I feel about parallel universes. And shifting and waking up in a different timeline, I think that's a real possibility. And some things I believe that is because, right, like listen to this. So I remember like 10 years ago, right? Maybe not that many, but I'm 26, maybe 10 to 8 to 10 probably. I was like 16 to 18, somewhere around there, right? Me and my friend Dylan, and I have like multiple of these stories, but this is just one that I always remember because I have a lot with my dad all the time. But let's say like me and my friend Dylan, right? We always go Christmas shopping. We've gone Christmas shopping together for a long time. Until the last couple of years, me and my other friend Kobe started going. But I remember one year I was out with my friend Dylan, and we were Christmas shopping at Woodfield Mall in Schaumburg, and we went to the Champs store, and we went in there, and there was white Nike socks, right? And I fucking very, very like vividly remember this moment, and I remember him saying, because I didn't even know this was a thing, right? He said, "Damn, I can't find these anywhere." And I'm like, "Find what?" And they're white Nike socks. I'm like, "What do you mean you can't find white Nike socks anywhere? There's white Nike socks out at Kohl's back home. There's there's white Nike socks everywhere." And he was like, "Nah." He's like, "These are different. These are white Nike socks that aren't dry fit." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "I don't like the dry fit ones because they make my feet sweat more." And I was like, "That's random, right? That's random." I was like, "I never heard of that." I was like, "I didn't know there was different types of Nike socks anyways. I didn't know there was dry fit ones and non-dry fit ones at that time." And this was a long time ago, right? And bring that back to today, because within like the last couple of years, I feel like I've shifted realities a lot. I think I've been in, excuse me, these Zens kind of got me feeling a little like I'm about to dry heave. I don't know, they're hitting my throat crazy today. But shift back to today, and I think I've been in multiple parallel universes from the way I manifest and shit like that. Like I jump back and forth a lot, right? But shift back to today, like 6 months ago or something like that, I was out shopping, and I found white Nike socks that weren't dry fit. And I was like, I bought them, and I brought them home, and I sent them. I got on like PlayStation with my friend Dylan, and we were on the mic. I was like, "Yo, you remember?" I was like, "No, yo, guess what I found today?" And he was like, "What?" I was like, "White Nike socks." And he's like, "Yeah, and I was like, "They're the ones that weren't dry fit. I remember you saying years ago that you hate the dry fit ones because they make your feet sweat more." He's like, "I never said that." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "I never said that." I was like, "Yeah, you did. I remember we were literally Christmas shopping this." And I was like, "You just don't remember?" He's like, "No, I never said that. It's not that I don't remember." Because he has like a crazy good memory, like for real. Like when it comes to shit like that, I don't know. He remembers so much like childhood stuff that I don't remember. But I was like, I remember this. He's like, "Nah, I didn't even know they made Nike socks that weren't dry fit." And I was like, "What, dog?" I was like, "You're the one that told me about it. And at that time, I didn't know that they made Nike socks that weren't dry fit. I thought they were all dry fit." He's like, "Nah, that never happened, this and that." Right. And I'm like, "Bro, what?" And then I like at that time, like I already knew about like this parallel universe stuff. I'd been looking into, reading a lot and shifting realities. And I was like, "Yeah, bro, we're in a parallel universe right now because you 1000% told me that. You're the one that told me about it. That's the only reason I bought them, this and that." Right. So that's just one example. And then I just have like examples with my dad. Like we'll wake up, like I'll go to work with him the day before, and I wake up the next day and go to work again, right? I see him at work, and I tell him something, and he's like, "What?" I'm like, "What do you mean what?" I'm like, "I told you that yesterday, or that happened yesterday, or this and that." He's like, "Nah, that didn't happen." I was like, "Yeah, it did." And then like this and that. And he's always like, "You're dreaming again." And I'm like, "I'm not dreaming, dude. Like that happened." And it makes me realize like, bro, I just woke up in a parallel universe, like for real. You guys might think I'm crazy, but just like think about times like that happen, like deja vu and things that you remember that your friends say didn't happen, or your parents that happened, that your parents or friends say didn't happen and stuff. It just know that like you shifted realities, and you jumped into a parallel universe and into a different timeline. I'm for real, like for real. I that's crazy, but I full on believe that, especially with like examples like that. I also believe that dreams may be another realm, like deja vu and parallel universe. Like I believe that like deja vu can happen because of dreams, but like I think that dreams are like real, like it's like a real place. But it's kind of hard to explain. But also, I'll get into two more theories of like death here. Okay, not switching because it's still about parallel universes, but the last one kind of goes back to like the way I view death. And then this one is another way I view death, but it's like a parallel universe. So like there's a theory that says like you never die, right? And when you die, so say like I got in a car crash, right? And like you wake up and you're in the hospital and you know you got in a car crash, this and that. But like they say, the theories say that like when you die, you just jump into another parallel universe and you're still alive. So like you survived. So like your consciousness and your soul jump to the other parallel universe, and now you're conscious and your soul is in that universe. So say I died in this universe today, right? So like I passed away in a car crash today. I did not. I don't want to manifest that. That's not going to happen. But let's say that happened. And I like thought I died, but I woke up in a hospital, right? I'm alive. But they're saying that like seconds before that happened, like right as you're like crashing where you would have died, you like knew you died and then you woke up, right? In this universe today, I died. So like my family's mourning, everyone lost me, this and that. But like my soul and consciousness jumped into another timeline where I was alive and I never died. I just got in a car accident and I'm still alive. But like that timeline, they're parallel universes, so they're going on at the same time. So in one universe, I did die, but I just jumped into a new one, so I'm still alive. But like in this universe, everyone's mourning my loss because I died, but I jumped into a universe. And like I said, they're very similar. And this is why I'm saying like things are different. Like maybe one I manifested into one, maybe in one when I had some sort of crazy accident as like a kid, I did die and jumped into one. But like in that universe, all the things are happening simultaneously. There's just small differences in your life. Like I said, like the sock thing. So like I died in that universe and everyone's mourning my loss, but my soul and consciousness jumped into a new parallel universe and it's the same timing and stuff. So I still got in that car crash, but I didn't die. I survived because my consciousness jumped into one where I'm still alive. But like everything still happened in every universe. It's like the multiverse and like basically is like it's crazy, right? It's like the multiverse in like Marvel, right? So like if you watch those movies, there's multiple universes with all these characters, and that's how they like bring characters back and find them again and shit like this. But like their memory's different and different scenarios happen and stuff like that, right? But they jump into multiple universes, and like Doctor Strange puts in an Endgame that there's only one universe out of the fucking 100 trillion or whatever that they win and beat Thanos, and the one that they had to do that in, Iron Man had to die. So like if he took any other action and stuff like that, if he didn't die, like that universe they lose. You know what I'm saying? So that's the same thing with our lives. It's like the parallel universe. I died in another universe, and even in those, like all those fights, those wars are happening at the same time in every universe. But in that universe, that's what had to happen for it to go the way it had to go. So like I got in a car crash, and every 1 trillion fucking or however many universes there are, parallel universes, at the same time, at the same day, everything, all that happened. But I just jumped into a new universe in which I survived. Hopefully that makes sense to you. You guys aren't getting all confused. Like I still died in one universe, but I'm alive in the other, and my body, your body and soul and consciousness jumps to a new universe anytime you die. Like the second you're dying, it jumps to a new one. And then you're still alive. But in another universe where you died, where I would be dead, that universe I was previously in, I died. So it just jumped me into a new one where I still got to live. Is that fucking crazy? What do you guys think on that? I mean, so it's like you never die. You just jump into another parallel universe and shift timelines. It's a scary thing to think about. It's a crazy fucking thing to think about. But also, like I said, that's where you notice like you jumped into a new timeline, and that's why like things are like even like something you remember that happened yesterday. If you died in that universe and you jumped into a new one the next day, you could bring something up and it could be like a different outcome because like there's subtle subtle differences in each universe. They're not all the same. There's little differences and tiny differences that happen in each universe, but they're all happening at the same time. Just like every choice you made in each universe gave you a different outcome, and it's all happening at the same time. So like I got in a car crash in every one, but in one I died, one didn't happen, one I got like my leg amputated, one I survived, all that, and it jumps me into the one that I survived and all this shit. You know what I'm saying? And then I was this girl I was hanging out with, we were talking about this kind of shit, right? And Logic, the rapper Logic, has a song called Waiting Room. And if you really want to fuck your mind up, and after hearing these things that I talk about in Crazy Ways of Death, waiting room is another thing that like goes into the way I believe what happens when you die, in your rebirth, because time is of an essence. It's not like a real thing after you die and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So basically, in waiting room, right? If you listen to it, right, there's a black man. He dies, and he goes into this waiting room, and he goes to meet the doctor. Doctor's God. And basically, like, when he gets there, he tells you that, like, you died, this and that. Explains, like, what your life was a little bit in that and what you did. And then he says you're going to rebirth now. And he says, basically, in that is that it explains to you that the way life works is that when you die in your rebirth, you live every life possible. And he can send you to any time, like 1700, 17 BC, any time on earth. That's time, because in heaven, hell, heaven, and when you're with God and you are God and you're a higher power now, that time's not real in their universe. So time is only a real thing on earth. So like he can send you back and rebirth you at any point in time. So like when he dies, he's a black man, whatever. And then he says, I'm going to rebirth you as so-and-so, and you own whatever, 1,400 acres of land, something like that. He's like, and it's 1738, whatever. And he's like, 1738. Yeah, sorry, got a little Fetty Wap action, but literally I think it's like 17. He says it's like 1738. And you rebirth as a slave owner. He's like, I'm gonna rebirth you. You own this much land. And the guy's like, yeah, that sounds awesome. Blah blah blah. And he's like, and you own 1,500 slaves or whatever. And he's like, what the fuck? How are you gonna tell a black man you're about to fucking rebirth them as a white man that owns slaves? Blah blah blah. And then he's going off on God. And then God says, like, would it make you feel better that your son, blah blah blah, is the first white man or something that ends slavery? You know? He's like, nah, that doesn't make me feel any better, and stuff like that. But then he like explains to him that like you rebirth until you've lived every life on earth possible. So like he's like, you're everyone on earth, and it's like a shared consciousness. He's like, you were Hitler. He even says like this is the same exact thing. He's like, you were Hitler, and you were the millions of people, Jewish people that you killed. You were Harriet Tubman, and you were the slave owner at the same time. He's like, you've been all these people, and you rebirth until you've lived every life possible and learned every lesson possible, and then you get to become one of us. So that theory is crazy too, and I could definitely believe that like you rebirth as the poorest man in the world, the richest man in the world, the murderer, all that crazy shit, even like terrible lives. You rebirth and get to experience and live every life possible until you've learned all those lessons and been through it all. So that's another crazy one, and I definitely advise anyone to listen to that song or that like skit interlude, because it's an amazing thing. It really changes your perspective on life. But yeah, all these things just they're all believable. I think, Especially the ones where I say you shift realities. Maybe not. I think it's still believable that when you die, you jump into another parallel universe, right? But I also, like I said, I don't believe you have to die to make that happen. By manifesting the life you want to live and all this, you shift yourself into different timelines and all the time. So I think that you don't have to die or have some sort of accident to shift into that, die in one universe to wake up in the other universe alive. Like, I think that, like, every time you go to sleep, and if you manifest or think about something you want, or you're thinking negative thoughts, you're going to shift yourself into that timeline. And it's just, how it works. So think about those things. Hopefully I get some responses on this, but I really wanted to give you guys like a different perspective on life and the way I look at life and how it works and where we go when we die, what we do when we manifest and things like that, and show you a little bit more of the authentic side of me and the way my mind works. So we'll switch from niching down into some things like that. And that's all I have for today. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. As always, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm grateful for the journey, the experience, and I'll always apologize for not being as present or accountable, but there's things that, as it comes to being my authentic self, I have to work on. And if I want the business to be successful, I got to be more disciplined. And even when I don't know what to talk about, on podcasts, because I would like to drop every other week, so 2 episodes a month, basically. There's tons of things I could talk about. I don't have to hold myself in a box and niche down as much. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. And I hope this was an interesting episode for you guys and gave you guys like a little bit different perspective of how life works.
A free falling like I'm skydiving, teacher and student, 2 worlds colliding. I love music, I don't abuse it. Take your crafts and you infuse them. Say you're normal, that's kinda weird. In deep thought, stroking my beard. Head of the table, saying my cheers. Ended up grateful for all the tears. Ready to grind for years. Been loving what's in the mirror. Ready to